Hey, it's Mike. Thanks for tuning back in. Today I want to talk about the wild ride that the PSA 10 1986 Fleer Michael Jordan card has been on over the last, 4 or 5 years or so. It's a weird story. It's something that I started noticing, and other people have too. I'm not unique here, but it's just, I wanted to go through where it was, where it went, and where it is now, and then talk about where it might end up going in the coming years. First of all, before I do that, a couple of recent pickups. I got this 59 Bill Monbouquet autograph card for $5 on eBay. In the PSA set registry, this is one of the all-time great Red Sox autographs set. So $5, can't beat that. The guy also in the photo for this also had the 1955 Bowman Frank Malzone that I thought I would also buy, but he had already sold that one, unfortunately. And I don't remember if I showed this one on my channel yet. I did on my Instagram. Cheryl Swoops, I got this back from a private signing. I actually sent it out 8 months ago, and the signing just kept getting postponed. And in the meantime, the price of the signing dropped in half, so the seller, or the signing organizer, actually sent me back half of my money, which is awesome. And it was already cheap, so Cheryl Swoops, all-time great, and on a Sports Illustrated for Kids card, which, of course, my favorite. So I'm really happy to have that. So PSA 10, first of all, on Saturday, Bench Clear Media is doing Hobby Palooza, where for a number of hours, Saturday and Sunday, somebody will be hosting an hour-long segment on the hobby. This is, in 2020, it was created, Hobby Palooza, to replace the National, because there was no National, and it's just continued the last couple of years, and it's continuing this year leading up to the National. And I am co-hosting that hour with Chris Sewell, which is really exciting. I've been thinking about how do I get Chris back on my channel again coming up soon. And so when Mike Moynihan asked me if I wanted to be on Hobby Palooza for an hour, I said, yeah, can I invite Chris Sewell on? And he said, of course. So 3 p.m. Eastern on Saturday, it'll be me, it'll be Chris Sewell talking for an hour. He will be at the Chantilly card show at that time. So we'll be talking, he'll be showing me stuff that he's getting. Tune in, it's live, comment or not, either way. So the PSA 10 86 Fleer Jordan, I'm only looking at public sales that are registered on PSA's website. So it's missing some private sales, of course. This data goes back to 2004, but really starts around 2012 or so. And I don't know if that's when eBay sales started going in there, but the vast majority of these sales are from the last decade or so. And you can see in this chart, it was very, very flat for years, hovering right around $20,000 for years. And then, it spiked starting 2019 and then 2020, 2021, massive spike, just massive. And it's come down significantly since then. And I've worked in data analytics for 13 years, and I can tell you, you got to ignore those spikes. Those are the outliers. Not ignore them. They're telling, they're informative, but that's not the true value of this card. Starting in 2016, it was hovering around $20,000. There were occasional spikes like $41,000 in 2018, another $38,000 sale in 2018, mixed in with these in the $20,000 range. There were dips too. There was a $16,000 sale in 2019. There was a $15,000 sale in 2019 as the price started going up into the higher $20,000 range. In February 2019, it started really going up. It hit $30,000 for the first time. The Last Dance documentary on Netflix was released April 18th, 2023. Hit $50,000 at $50,000 at this point. Then shortly after, there were two $90,000 sales. So it's really, you're talking about quadrupling in value in a very short span of time. And then it was high five figures until August. Over the next 3 or 4 months, it was averaging high five figures. And then on August 31st, it did it. It reached 6 figures, went to $111,000 for the first time. And then all after that until December, so for the next 3+ months, were over $100,000. On December 13th of 2020, it hit $200,000 for the first time. So we're talking about going from $50,000 in March or April of 2020 to $200,000 9 months later. It's quadrupled in 9 months, after quadrupling in 9 months before that. So this is a significant spike. And people buying these should have been like, hang on a second, this was worth this much 9, 18 months ago, and now it's worth this much. Maybe I should lay off. Unless they knew, unless it's a short-term hold. If you know it's going to keep going up, which it obviously was at that point, and you plan on selling it in 3 months or 6 months, fine. But if you want a long-term hold, and I'm no investment guy, don't talk to me about investments. I'm just talking about my own personal preference would be to not buy as something is starting to skyrocket or is in the middle of a skyrocket. Now, if you saw the ads for The Last Dance, or if you saw the news that Last Dance was being released, and you happen to know that the pandemic was coming and everybody would be sitting inside and watching that, okay. But nobody knew until like January that the pandemic was coming. So after that first $200,000 sale in December, the next 4 were also over $200,000. And then all of a sudden, the next month, January 31st in 2021, 2 sold in golden auctions for $738,000. Just kind of out of nowhere. So they were going for $200,000 plus, and then boom, $738,000 on the same day, 2 different PSA 10 Jordans. There's really nothing special about these. I looked at them. They look nice. They look great, just like all the PSA 10s do. But why did these 2 go for 3 times what any others were going for at the time? So then, after that, those 2 $738,000 sales, the sales went like this: $645,000, $615,000, $588,000, $615,000, $480,000, 3 times in a row, $456,000, $421,000, $426,000, $450,000, and then back up to $522,000. So it seems to me like the 2 $738,000 sales were buoying the market. They weren't bringing it up to 738 because they steadily dropped after that, but they definitely brought the market up above that $200,000 range that it had been prior to that. But then, less than 3 months after the $730,000, 738 purchases, it was half that, $375,000 on April 19th, 2021. The next month, May 24th, $288,000. So values dropped by like 60% in 3 months. In June, a PWCC eBay auction, you remember PWCC was on eBay at some point? The eBay auction was canceled. The auction ended at just $180,000, which was unusual at the time. $180,000 would have been huge a year before, but it was the lowest one in 5 months. So there was a lot of suspicion that PWCC canceled the auction because it didn't go for as much as they wanted. Then after that, it stayed at around $300,000 for the next 7 months or so until January of 2022. And then it hit $185,000, and then all of a sudden back to $360,000, strangely. By mid-2022, it was hovering right around $200,000 steadily. By September, it was consistently below $200,000. So we're talking about in 18 months, it shot up from $20-some-odd thousand to $738,000, and then in the next 18 months, it dropped back down to under $200,000. And then in January of this year, one sold for just $10,600 on eBay. I couldn't figure out what happened with that one. It's kind of this bizarre outlier. So if you know anything about that one, throw it in comments. Since then, although they've all been between $130,000 and $190,000, it's very strange. I don't know what the value of this card is. Obviously, the value is however much somebody will pay for it. how much in demand it is versus supply, blah, blah, blah. You don't need to give me an economics lesson in my comments, but where is this card headed in 2023 and 2024? I'm not asking long term, just in the next 18 months. How much room does this card have to go down or go up at all? I don't think it's going to go up. I think it's going to go down more. I think it probably settles in the high 5 figures. It's a mass-produced set. There are a lot of 10s out there. I think high 5 figures is probably right for this card, which is still a massive improvement from 5 years ago. And it's easy for us to look back and say, wow, this card has plummeted since it was at 738,000. But that wasn't right. That's just taking the outliers and saying, this is where it was. And we don't know anything about those two $738,000 sales. I'm open to your ideas, your thoughts, your comments. Let me know where you think this card is going, and anything else about these sales you happen to know would be great. Click that subscribe button if you're new here. I really appreciate it. Hope you guys have a great day.